Good morning, guys. Pastry chef Justin Burleson here, and I'm coming to you from Cafe 121 in Sanford. And I hope you all are doing well through this coronavirus that's going around. And today I'm going to show you how we are going to do cinnamon sticky buns. We're all at home, we're wanting something to bake, and these are definitely a comfort food that will be delicious for you. So let's get started. So this is a yeast leavened dough. So I've started out with 1.5 cups of milk that I've then dissolved 1/4 cup of sugar, as well as 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon of instant dry yeast. So my yeast has been sitting for roughly about 5 minutes, and my milk is warmed up to room temperature. You want to make sure that you bring your yeast up to a temperature that it's going to be happy at. And as we learned in class, that our yeast is happy at rising between 80 to 90 degrees, no more than 100 for sure, because yeast dies at 140 degrees. So I'm going to continue to adjust my phone as it slides down, but that's fine. Okay, there we go. So my yeast is nice and foamy. I'm going to try to show you all if you can see that little foam layer across the top. So that lets me know that my yeast is activated. So now I'm ready to mix. Today I'm going to be using a KitchenAid mixer with our dough hook attachment. Okay, so in my bowl here I've got 8 cups of flour as well as 2 teaspoons of salt. Okay, so I've stirred that and dissolved it because our yeast is like a snail, right? The salt kills yeast. So I want to make sure to keep the two separate, and I did that by stirring in my salt with my flour, so the flour is kind of a dividing factor in there. So I've got my 8 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of salt. To that I'm going to add 4 eggs, which I've also brought to room temperature. Keep in mind, for any of these products that we're making, we want to keep it at room temperature or slightly warm. That way our yeast is nice and happy and does its bubbly thing. So I'm going to add my eggs. This is 4 eggs into this mixer. I'm going to add in my dissolved yeast and milk. Okay. And since this is a rich yeast dough, meaning that we're adding in fats and all the deliciousness and sugars, I'm also going to add in softened butter. So it's very important that your butter is softened as well. There we are. So I'm going to add this in. Okay, and I'm going to put this on roughly a level 2 to 3. We don't want to turn it up too high. We want to keep it at a lower speed on our KitchenAid mixer. And I'm going to allow this to mix for roughly 7 to 10 minutes until I have a very nice, smooth, elastic dough. So I'm going to put this on. And a little trick that I've learned is that prior to actually putting this on the mixer, it sometimes leaves dry pockets of flour in the bottom of my bowl if I don't stir it. So I always just kind of stir this by hand a little bit to get my dough started. And that kind of, for me, prevents the dry dough pockets, because we don't want to go to turn this dough out of the bowl and we end up with a whole pocket of flour in the bottom, because then our dough is going to be wet and sticky and we have to stir it some more, and it just creates a whole added step that you're going to have to do, which we can skip by simply stirring this a little bit. Okay, so my dough's stirred. I'm going to put this on the mixer, and I'm going to come back and show you all the finished product once it's fully incorporated.